I am the host. This is a special Halloween episode. Sink into the cobwebs and candlelight of New England's spookiest tales, brought to life by our talented actors. In present-day Salem, the air grows crisp with the scent of wood smoke and fallen leaves. As dusk settles, the town square comes alive with costumed revelers and the infectious laughter of children. But 3 blocks away on Derby Street, amidst the towering maples and elms, there's an unsettling stillness. At No. 304, a house seems suspended in time, cut off from the festivities by an oppressive silence. Here, beneath the veil of night, something stirs. Something not of this world. Behind the boarded windows, the house hunches like a brooding gargoyle, its silhouette etched against the fading light. It's here, in this house, that the boundaries between the living and the dead grow perilously thin. For those who dare to venture within, it whispers tales of a bygone era, of fear and despair, of lives unjustly shattered. It was the year 1692 when the community of Salem Village was thrown into a frenzy by a series of accusations that shook its very foundations. With fingers pointed and whispers spreading like wildfire, suspicion fell upon unsuspecting souls, casting long shadows of doubt over their innocence. Among them was Eleanor, a woman known for her piety and quiet strength. Yet in the face of mounting hysteria, she became a casualty of a town consumed by its own fears, and without warning, she found herself at the center of a maelstrom that threatened to engulf her entire world. Falsely accused of consorting with the devil, Eleanor's life turned upside down in an instant. Her reputation, once so carefully cultivated, was now tarnished by whispers of witchcraft. But the true horror lay not in the accusations themselves, but in the relentless pursuit of justice, or what passed for it in those turbulent times. Her home, once a sanctuary, transformed into a prison, confining her to 4 walls that echoed with her stifled sobs. Days bled into nights, each hour marked by the relentless ticking of the clock. Hope, once a flickering flame, dwindled with each passing moment, extinguished by the cold winds of despair. And as the community's fear reached a fever pitch, Eleanor's spirit began to break under the weight of their accusations. In the darkest hours of her confinement, as the weight of her isolation pressed down upon her, she poured her anguish into the one companion who would listen. Her lantern, its gentle glow, a silent witness to her torment, reflecting the depths of her sorrow. Now, nearly 200 years later, on the stroke of midnight, the mournful cries can still be heard echoing through the empty halls of the House of the Vanished. They say that on All Hallows' Eve, when the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, the spirit of Eleanor emerges, her lantern held high, searching for solace in the stillness of the night. And those who listen closely can hear the tale of a life cut short, a soul unjustly condemned, forever seeking peace in the shadows of the old house on Derby Street. As the clock tower chimes toll midnight, I raise my lantern higher, its flame dancing in the darkness. A cold wind whips around me, carrying the scent of decaying leaves and something else, something faintly metallic, like the coppery temps of blood. The sob comes again, closer now, and I spin around, heart pounding. There, at the top of the stairs, a translucent figure emerges, bathed in the ethereal glow of my lantern. She's beautiful, yet haggard. Her eyes pools of bottomless sadness. She opens her mouth to speak, but no sound emerges, only the rustling of wind through dead leaves. I take a step toward her, then another, mesmerized by a sorrow so profound it seems to reach out and touch my very soul. The figure beckons with a finger, then turns and walks slowly down the stairs, each step creaking ominously. I follow, my own footsteps echoing her descent, until we reach the front door. She pauses, then looks back at me, her expression a mixture of pleading and despair. With a final, agonizing sob, she disappears into the night, leaving me alone in the lantern's glow. I rush to the door and throw it open, but the night air offers no reply, only the whisper of dead leaves and the distant laughter of children celebrating a night when the veil between worlds grows thin. And I, the only witness to a sorrow that transcends time, am left to wonder if I've stumbled upon a tale so chilling it will haunt my dreams forever. A door at the end of the hall swung shut with a deliberate slam. I leaped forward, every nerve aflame. The hallway stretched, its end sealed by impenetrable darkness. Candle sconces lay empty on the walls long since looted or broken. The sobbing stopped. All that remained was the throb of my own breath and the soft drip of water somewhere unseen. I chose the nearest door, steeling myself against the screech of its rusted knob. Inside lay a child's chamber. Peeling wallpaper, patterned with faded lilies, a cradle at the window, trembling as if rocked by ghostly fingers. Moonlight slipped through a jagged pane, illuminating a single toy horse on the floor, its wooden eyes chipped and lifeless. From behind, a voice like wind through bone. "Help me." I spun. In the corner stood a pale girl, no more than 16, her shift torn, hair matted, eyes wide, wells of despair, her lips parted, but no breath escaped. Only, "I didn't do it," she whispered. They lied. Eleanor Wadsworth. The portrait in my carriage had shown her in a red gown, fear etched into every line of her face. But here, draped in shifting shadow, she seemed more phantasmal than human, an echo of cruelty and injustice. I raised the lantern toward her. The cradle stilled. The air around us crackled. A sudden gale burst through the broken window, snuffing the lantern's flame. I fumbled for flint, heart slamming against ribs. In pitch darkness, whispers gathered, circling. Show yourself, I commanded, my voice echoing strangely in the confined space. Who are you? A sob tore through the darkness. Eleanor. The name brushed against my soul. I recalled the portrait, the haunted eyes staring sightlessly ahead. Had the girl in the painting always been trapped here? Or had something wicked befallen her after the artist captured her image? The whispers intensified, morphing into a cacophony of accusations. Eleanor, my gaze fell to the cradle. Was she a mother? Had she brought this torment upon herself and her child? Another sob, this time laced with mirthless laughter. It was them or the child, Eleanor whispered, her voice cracking. I couldn't bear it any longer. I just couldn't. My heart ached for her. Yet revulsion warred with pity. For what had she done? And what manner of torment had driven her to this dark act? She emerged from the shadows, her translucent skin stretched taut over sharp bones. Her nightgown, once fine linen, now hung in tattered strips, revealing bruised shoulders and the slender column of her neck. Her hair, a tangled mess of gold, framed a face of startling beauty, marred only by the haunted depths of her blue eyes. They mirrored the turmoil within me, the conflict between my revulsion at the crime and my burgeoning sympathy for the tormented soul that confessed. My gaze dropped to the floor, unable to meet hers. How could I help her? What aid could I offer a creature born of darkness and despair? Why did they lie? I murmured, more to myself than to her. Eleanor flinched. They said it was for the best, she whispered, her eyes downcast. That I would be safer here, that the child would be protected. Her laughter echoed with chilling mirthlessness. Safe here? There is no safety here, only endless waiting. She gazed at the cradle as if seeing it for the first time. Do you see? Even my babe is taken from me? Her voice cracked with despair. What am I to do? Her anguish touched a raw nerve, echoing the torment in my own soul. Could I offer solace to this lost spirit? Or would my presence only compound her misery? My hand trembled as I reached out, seeking connection in the darkness. My fingers brushed hers, cold as ice, yet somehow searing. Her head snapped up, eyes blazing with desperate hope. You can help me, she whispered, her voice hoarse with longing. You can set me free. I clutched the lantern so tightly my knuckles turned white. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. What had happened to her? 2. Eleanor, what? I ran the lantern's flame back and forth over the words. Condemned by fear, lost to history. But what if I could change that? What if I could rewrite her story? The air in the tomb grew colder. I backed away from the wall, clutching the lantern. Beneath it, the inscription read, "In loving memory of Eleanor Wadsworth, 1692. My chest tightened. If I failed her, I would be damned myself. Bursting into the foyer, I flung open the front door. The mist pressed in, swirling around my legs like living things. Clutching the lantern, I plunged into the street. The houses were deserted, hunched behind shuttered windows. The clock tower groaned toward midnight. I hurried along, my footsteps the only sound in the stillness. But halfway to the courthouse, every echo in the fog seemed to twist into footsteps behind me. I dared not look back. My mind raced. The town records, stored in the vault beneath the old courthouse, held the trial transcripts. There, I might expose the lies that bound her spirit. The courthouse doors resisted, groaning on iron hinges. Inside, oil lamps sputtered, casting more shadows than light. I walked down the steps and into the vault. Rows of ancient ledgers lined the walls. A shiver ran through me, not of cold, but of dread. What if the records held nothing? What if there was nothing left to find? Then I saw them. A slim volume stamped 1692. Trials. My fingers flew across the brittle pages, searching for her name, tracing the judge's signature, the hearsay testimonies, the forged affidavits. Each word seared into me like a brand. There was no confession, no evidence, only the word of frightened neighbors twisted by panic. They spoke of a pious woman who took ill, of fever dreams and a devil's pact, of strange symbols scrawled in a blood-tinged diary. These were the whispers that condemned her, the very same whispers that still echoed through our town. Then, at the very end, a final note, scribbled in a different hand. Prisoner escaped prior to execution. No further record. My breath hitched. So, she was alive. She had been alive all those years. But where? Why had she run? Had she suffered enough? The lantern light sputtered in the draft, casting grotesque shapes on the wall. I rushed back up the courthouse steps, back into the fog-choked street. Had she spent her years in hiding here, in this forsaken place? Where was she now? I ran, stumbling through the darkness, calling out her name. Eleanor! Eleanor! My voice cracking with despair. But the only reply was the mocking laugh of the wind. And as the first sliver of dawn pierced the mist, I knew I had lost her again. My hands trembled as I pushed open the heavy door. The room was silent except for the sigh of the dying embers. Had it all been for nothing? Would her spirit be doomed to wander forever? Then, from beneath the floorboards, something glinted. I knelt, brushing aside the dust and cobwebs. A small wooden box lay hidden, bound with rusted iron. Hope surged through me. Could this be the answer? I struggled with the rusted lock, my heart pounding. Then, as the first rays of sunlight slanted through the window, it gave way. Inside, nestled on faded velvet, lay a diary. Its leather cover was embossed with a single E. With trembling fingers, I opened it. The musty scent of old paper filled my nostrils. And there, in elegant script, the ink faded with time, began a tale of love and loss, of fear and courage. A testament to a life lived on the edge of a nightmare. For this was no ordinary diary. It belonged to Eleanor Wadsworth, and it held the key to setting her spirit free. A sudden crash behind me made me whirl. Books tumbled from a high shelf, thudding against the floor. From the gloom emerged a shape taller than any man, its coattails billowing, face veiled beneath a wide-brimmed hat. I froze, lantern raised like a shield. From the darkness slithered hissing voices. She lied. She killed. She died. The shape advanced, and I recognized the torn red of Eleanor's gown. The pallid face of the portrait come to life winded, enraged. I know the truth, I cried, voice hoarse. You were innocent. The spirit halted, its head cocked as if listening, mournful energy crackling around us. The ledgers trembled in my grasp. My vision blurred as tears pricked my eyes. I will make them known. I've escaped custody under mysterious circumstances. You lived, and you will rest. A wind snuffed the lamps. Total darkness swallowed me. My heart hammered, every muscle coiled. Then in the black a soft glow from the ledger. The pages drew themselves open, revealing the line prisoner released by secret order of Judge Haff. As soon as the words shone, the presence before me softened. The shape wavered, sorrow turning to relief. A whisper, free. My breath hitched. Was this the ghost from the portrait? Eleanor, the girl who'd accused me of killing her family and then died in prison, claiming she'd been set up? Now, she stood before me, specter of justice, vengeance, or was it relief that I saw in her pale eyes? Had the truth set her free? And did that mean I was next? Earlier that night, I'd found this attic while chasing rumors. Rumors that the esteemed Judge Hathorne had somehow been involved with the deaths of Eleanor's parents. The esteemed governor and his wife, how he'd arranged their demise and made it look like an accident. Why? For power? For greed? For love? For what? But there was more to the story that only Eleanor knew. I felt it in my bones. So when I heard a noise in the attic, I came to investigate, armed with nothing but a lantern and my wits. I never expected to find a ghost. I backed away, bumping into a stack of trunks. One fell, releasing a moth-eton shawl. As it floated to the floor, I saw something tucked inside, a length of rough woolen fabric that might have once been part of a curtain. I pulled it out, noticing how it looked just like the one in the portrait, the one that concealed whatever crime Eleanor's father had been committing. I wrapped the shawl around my shoulders, suddenly feeling very still, very small, insignificant in the dim lamplight. And then she loomed over me. "Who are you?" I whispered, my gaze fixed on the ground. "Why have you come here?" Her voice was like the rustling of dead leaves, sad and dry. I knew she wasn't dangerous. Not really, but fear lent her power. "I'm the one who killed your family," I said, keeping my eyes down. "I'm here to tell you the truth." Slowly, she lowered herself onto a trunk, the moonlight painting her face silver. "The truth," she echoed, and for the first time, I saw not a specter of vengeance, but a woman weary of carrying her pain for so long. "You wish to tell me the truth, after all this time?" "Why?" I shrugged, suddenly tired, my throat tight with unshed tears. "Because it's the right thing to do, because you deserve it, because we all do." Her lips curved into a sad smile. "Is that what they told you, Jal? That I deserved the truth? That after I rotted in a cell for 14 years, denied a trial, denied justice, denied even the chance to prove my innocence, that now somehow it would bring me peace?" She rose, towering over me. "They never told you the whole truth, did they? They never told you that it was I who killed the judge's son, that it was I who uncovered his plot to usurp the throne, that it was I who threatened to expose him. That's why they locked me up, child, to keep me from exposing him." She took a step closer, her eyes blazing. "That's why they made sure I died believing I was a murderer. Do you see now? It was I was protecting my father. He was a good man, kind and honest, unlike the men who used God as a shield while plotting in the shadows, taking what they wanted by force, by trickery, by murder. But you're dead?" I breathed, mesmerized by her anger, her pain. "I am," she whispered, and with a suddenness that made me gasp, she vanished. The ledger slipped from my numb fingers, clattering to the floor. I stared at the spot where she'd been standing. She was right. I hadn't been told the whole truth. Then, the light, it came again, beckoning me, pulling me toward the far corner of the attic. There, nestled between trunks, sat a wooden box, its surface bare except for a single tarnished metallic. As I knelt and lifted the lid, the air grew heavy, laden with the scent of mildew and something else, something sweet, like the fragrance of Eleanor's shawl. Inside, bound with leather thongs, lay a stack of papers. I carefully untied them, revealing a series of entries, each written in elegant script. They detailed not only the conspiracy against the governor, but also the events leading up to his murder, placing the blame squarely on the esteemed Judge Hap. As I read, my heart broke for Eleanor, for the years stolen from her, for the truth buried, for the innocent blood spilled. But I knew then what I had to do. I gathered the documents, tucked them into my skirts, and hurried from the attic, eager to share what I'd found with the world. Then the figure collapsed into a swirl of silver motes, drifting toward the ledger and dissolving harmlessly on its pages. The lights flickered back. I sank to my knees, breath coming in ragged sobs. Dawn's first gray light crept through the courthouse windows. Clutching the ledger, I emerged into the early morning stillness. The fog had lifted, revealing cobblestones, glistening with dew. I don't know how long I wandered for, the weight of the ledger growing heavier with every step until I reached the river. There Eleanor and I had shared dreams beneath the stars, promises for a future that would never be. I sank to my knees beside its muddy bank, the water mirroring the turmoil in my soul. How could I have been so blind? All those months I'd searched for answers, for proof of Eleanor's innocence, convinced that somewhere a record had been kept, a witness overlooked. But the truth had been here all along, hidden in plain sight, disguised as justice. My fingers tightened around the worn leather cover. This was no ordinary book. It was a chronicle of lives, a testament to the scales of fate. For within its musty pages were inscribed the destinies of men, their fates decreed by Judge Crater's pen. Here, beneath a rubric of law and order, I discovered the rot that had poisoned this town's soul. And there, scrawled across to trembling hands, was Eleanor's name. When the moon was full and the gavel fell, she was sentenced to hang. Then a single silver locket slipped from her dress, clattering to the floor. I picked it up, its ornate design, a stark contrast to the grim reality of the courtroom. As I opened it, a scrap of fabric fluttered out, a handkerchief with the name stitched into its folds. Samuel Hawthorne. Who was Samuel Hawthorne, and what was he doing at Eleanor's trial? I clutched the locket tight, its coldness seeping into my palm. The pieces of this twisted puzzle were falling into place, revealing a picture far more sinister than I'd imagined. Samuel Hawthorne, the judge's son, had loved Eleanor, but his love had been forbidden, thwarted by his father's iron will and the rigid boundaries of their society. Now, consumed by grief and a thirst for vengeance, I traced the letters of his name, feeling their cold bite against my skin. In that moment, I vowed to unearth the truth, to expose the corruption that had stolen Eleanor's life and broken my own heart. Word would spread, the truth of Eleanor's trial, the judge's secret reprieve, the corruption that condemned an innocent girl, and with that truth, her spirit would finally find peace. 2 nights later, I returned to Derby Street. The gate lay closed. The windows finally shuttered. No sobs echoed in the halls. I pressed my hand against the once tortured door and felt warmth, as if in silent thanks. On the porch, a single silver locket awaited me, a gift from beyond. Inside, a fragment of parchment bore one line in delicate script. Remember me truly. I didn't need the reminder. From the depths of my soul to the marrow of my bones, I remembered Eleanor. And with each sunrise, my resolve hardened. I would ensure that her story wasn't buried, that her name wasn't forgotten. As I turned away from the house, its dark silhouette outlined against the pale sky, I knew my journey was just beginning. The road ahead would be fraught with peril, but I was no longer afraid. I had the truth, and with it, the strength to keep going. And so I walked on, leaving the shadows of Derby Street behind me, forever changed by the ghost I'd befriended and the love that had defied even death itself. Because sometimes it takes a ghost to show us the way, to lead us to the truths we've buried, so that we can remember, speak their names aloud, and set their spirits free.